Welcome back to Night Mine, friends. Thanks for joining me in the Dark Arkade this evening. I hope you guys are good with a bit of a retro feel in this old place. I already know you're awesome at welcoming new material if the amount of community members on Horror Amino with me is anything to go by. Your feedback on new video topics and open discussions has been awesome, as well as how many of you let me know just how much you want game analysis and dissection on the channel. Stick around to the end of this video for a Horror Amino follow-up and a chance to tell me exactly what game you want to see up next in the arcade. All the way back in November, I posted a bit of a reckless tweet saying it was the first time anything since the Clear Lakes 44 announcement had earned a schedule crashing video. I had seen something I considered worthy of an emergency production. I didn't end up making that video due to the amount of time invested in delivering Tribe 12 Explained on schedule, but the excitement did stay with me all the way into February when the game that inspired that tweet released its full experience for desktop computers and consoles. Seeing Layers of Fear for the first time was an exhilarating experience after the crushing disappointment of the Silent Hills cancellation. PT, the playable teaser for the game, was one of the most genuinely terrifying and original experiences to greet the horror genre in quite a long time. PT was exciting enough to warrant the future purchase of a PS4 just to get a hold of Silent Hills, and its quick and sudden death scared a lot of people into thinking we might not get an experience like that again. But a year later, an early access version for Layers of Fear came out, and faith was restored that the immersive experience discoveries made in PT had made their mark. Originally available in a test version with a very strong emphasis on player feedback, Layers of Fear unveiled the complete project in February with an experience composed of the critiques and affirmations of its consumers. Made by a small team of independent developers in Poland, Layers of Fear is the story of a tortured artist struggling with a severe case of mental illness, made worse by the loss of his wife by suicide and failure to keep custody of his daughter against Child Protection Services. Formerly brilliant and celebrated among the art world, the central character of the painter attempts to remedy his issues by generating a final masterpiece after the collapse of his career. During the course of the experience, documents and items prompting sound cues fill players in on the procession of events leading to the painter's current state, from his status in galleries to the department store flyer that permanently scarred his wife's face, robbing him of his only muse. With the painter unable to generate the work his wife's previously unmarred beauty once brought him, he turns from tools of artistry to liquor, tobacco, and fits of rage against his wife and daughter, dragging them down the road of depression alongside him until eventually being separated from both. Memories of the horror you unleashed upon your family are played out in a nightmare fantasia as you search for items to finish your masterpiece. The painter's growing schizophrenia blends with what may be a supernatural infestation to generate a surreal maze of guilt, fear, and anguish that lets you feel the story rather than hear it. And this game really strives to let you feel rather than do all the legwork. Layers of Fear is a master thesis in the power of atmosphere. This game is drenched in atmospheric power from start to finish. It's a shock to think that graphics with this much detail came from an indie studio. However, an interview with a studio from GamingBolt.com reveals there's a major reason for it. The main ingredient for Layers of Fear was the passion for fine art that a lot of our artists share. Most of them have a master's degree in art and have received a thorough education on the history of art. Fine art has centuries of inspirational material that we felt is ready to be used in a contemporary media like gaming. And from the official site for Layers of Fear, we can see original and classic art listed as one of the game's features, with numerous pieces of original art and music used to flesh out the story and environment. You may also see here that the game is billed as a psychedelic horror. Team member Rafal Basaj elaborates on this point during an interview with TrueAchievements.com. The dictionary definition of psychedelic is a mental state characterized by a profound sense of intensified sensory perception, sometimes accompanied by severe perceptual distortion and hallucinations and by extreme feelings of either euphoria or despair. The main idea for the game was to change the environment in real time, distorting the perception of players and leaving them with a hallucination-like feeling. Both euphoria, of creating a masterpiece painting, and the despair, tragedies that the protagonist had to endure, are parts of the main plot. Psychedelic best defined the experience that we wanted to serve the players. And psychedelic was right on target. The surreal horror and euphoric displays in the game take you on a mesmerizing trip, sometimes blending horror and wonder together at once. I remember the moment that absolutely convinced me I wanted to make a video came during a very specific segment of the trip that just needs to be seen in order to understand. One single sequence can explain the power of this game better than any other. The setup of the room, the details in the environment, the music, and the slow, constant ratcheting up of tension and atmosphere make this moment so powerful. It's all at once beautiful to witness and horrifying to behold. Once a player activates this scene, they're trapped in the carousel position and just have to suffer through the ride as it spins around, slowly showing them each side of the room, every scene worse than the last. The most incredible feeling while watching this is knowing that the carousel may be slow right here, but it's about to whip around again, and when it does, you have no idea what's about to hit you. But it's coming closer, and you can't do anything except brace for the impact. Layers of Fear doesn't necessarily pull off the feat of making you scared of walking around every corner the whole way through, but when it wants you to be apprehensive about entering a room or what may be coming ahead, it does make sure to use all of its atmosphere to create a feeling of pure dread that keeps you from taking one more step. One of the game's best tricks is playing with your expectations, an absolute must-have for any good horror experience in any medium. Keeping someone on their toes about what's going to happen perpetuates their fear of the unknown, and the house makes sure you know it can change the rules at any time by constantly shifting the layout. Here are just a few of the many illusions it holds in store.
No thank you. No thank you, please. No way, this is a big empty room. What? Something's about to happen. Creator's block. Aw. Oh no. Oh no. How does this change so fast? I still don't understand. How does that change so fast? So like... What the fuck? Oh my god!
So much of what I love in Layers of Fear has to do with the environment's reflections of the story themes and character psychology. It's not just that the painter is losing his sanity to a disease. He's fighting his own guilt and revelations. The house becomes more broken down and destroyed as you progress, and toward the end you can spot masses of black, organic-looking paint that makes you think of cancerous tumors. His disease is growing worse in the house, a representation of his brain. At the end of the first run-through, in which the player focuses on getting through the game and collecting as many items as possible, the result is very dark. The painter is revealed to be enduring an endless cycle of making portraits of his dead wife who committed suicide after realizing she could no longer live up to the muse he once painted her as.
God, I am such an idiot. To think that someone like me could ever compete with you in all your sublime beauty, everlasting, immortal. I finally figured it out. And it's all thanks to you. You've showed me that there's no other way. Even now, your sad smile confirms what should have been obvious. We will not speak again.
The finished portrait, after revealing his wife's burned face, transforms into a corpse figure and is then added to a room full of similar portraits, all with his wife as a grotesque monstrosity. But when you're allowed to walk around the house before the final end credits trigger, seeing it for its true dilapidated state, you can look into the portrait room again and see the paintings as they actually are, with his wife intact. All depictions are of the wife before her facial burns. Your only option left after finding a few notes confirming the painter's current sad state is to go into his workshop, remove the cover from his canvas, and start the cycle to make a masterpiece all over again, which we know to be an effort in vain. In your quest to make the portrait, the items you're collecting turn out to be organic. A scrap of skin for a canvas, a vial of blood, crushed up bone, a few locks of hair, a finger, and an eyeball in a jar. It's pretty much insinuated that these all came from the wife's corpse after the painter discovered she'd committed suicide in the bathtub, an event we relive alongside him as the player picks up a bloody knife in the sink.
Oh.
What is taking so long? Open this fucking door! I need to go! Open up! Hell is... Oh, God. No. No. What have you done? No!
But this isn't something we can actually take as literal. We're dealing with a seriously schizophrenic man, which can be inferred from the ending scene of the corpse painting that reverts to normal afterward with all the others. Layers of Fear works very well with metaphors, and while you can imagine the painter really did incorporate pieces of his wife's body in the portraits he's been making, it's more likely he's relating the materials he uses as pieces of her. He's salvaging pieces of his fallen muse in an attempt to recreate her former glory. He may also be using pieces of his own body in this sense, a metaphor that instead speaks to an artist's desire to make their work even while sacrificing their own body to do so. Regardless, we know from the last scene, having looked at both of the painter's hands, that the finger, if it was literal, did not come from him. The issue being relayed in the final scene is an artistic interpretation of the core issue, using a representation that I love to see used in media. The painter completes his piece, which comes out just fine.
Yes! That's it! It's beautiful. Perfect.
It then transforms in front of him to the later reality of his wife, burnt, disfigured, no longer the muse that he had married. It then turns into the obscene corpse, the new reality. His wife is dead, and so is his muse. Defeated again after remembering the perceived flaw in his wife, the painter watches the creation as a whole die and then tosses it in with a pile of other failures. So, why are all these paintings gathered together in one room looking perfectly normal pre-burn afterward? The painter is missing the point of the beauty of his wife. He married her for the physical aspects she held and convinced himself she was his muse. Whatever love he had for her began with her appearance, and not only did she end up discovering that the hard way, she took her own life over knowing she'd never again live up to being the beauty she once was. The painter can make as many portraits of her as she used to be, but the attempts are hollow because the muse that he's painting is a ghost. He can't get over how she ended up looking after the fire. He refuses to give in to that reality, and her image is forever burned in his mind. The muse is dead, and he's just painting a phantom. Her image no longer has the power it used to, but that's the painter's own fault. This is, thankfully, not the only ending. There are actually 3 endings based on certain conditions in the game with a very secret point system based on your actions. The points are so secret, you don't even know when they're being added. No noises, no images, no indication. This is one of the very rare games that doesn't let you know that there is a choice system the whole way through, and it is genius. One of the endings, the selfish path, leads to a self-portrait of the painter that relieves him of his darkness, and his work is later shown hanging in a gallery. He gets his career back. The other ending is a painting of his wife and daughter, which inspires sorrow and regret in him. He brings the painting into the room with all the others, finally having the revelation that all he needed was already with him, facial burns or not. He drops the painting, knocks over the candles, and leans into the fire as it builds to an inferno that will destroy the paintings, the room, and the whole unhappy house alongside him. The choices leading to any of these 3 paths reflect the core struggle the painter went through and is still going through. If you make choices relating to the memory of your daughter and wife and engage their phantoms at every opportunity, even when you know you'll be attacked, you'll arrive at the revelation that you were an awful husband and a terrible father, and reconcile your darkness by going to the fire after realizing what was important in life. If you disregard memory items of your wife and daughter, collect all the rat drawings, and follow images of rats, you'll receive the self-portrait, having chosen the selfish path by forsaking the memory of other people. But, like most players, if you do a mix of both selfish and regretful, you arrive at the common everlasting loop ending. Unable to make up your mind, unwilling to face your own evil and apologize or embrace it entirely, and trapped in a cycle of insane reiteration until death. Layers of Fear isn't just a horror game. It's a game where the story, its meaning, and its themes informed its entire design, and that elevates it above being just a game to being a work of art. This is an experience to learn from for future game developers or anyone who works with visual media for their fiction. So much intelligent thought and design went into Layers of Fear, and while it doesn't fully make up for the loss of Silent Hills, it does carry the torch that PT lit into the future. In wake of the powerful atmosphere and informed creativity in Layers of Fear, I'd like to know what horror games you've played or seen that have the same effect. What are the top choices for deep atmosphere, strong storytelling, and smart design in our genre of choice? I've got a discussion topic open right now on Amino where you can let me know. Meanwhile, I also have a poll open right now to select the next game for our Dark Arkade study. I'll go ahead and already tease that I know what my next Dark Arkade video is, but the one that comes after is going to be centered on a specific title, and I'm letting the community decide where we go next. While you're on the app, you can also find a wide discussion on horror games by going to the catalog, selecting the media tab at the top, and then selecting games. There's quite a variety of titles open to browse, with information added by the community, related pages, and comment threads to hash out discussions right then and there for any game. You can also check out a new discovery I'm enjoying, Fictional Creatures. Imagine having a full horror bestiary right here on a single app with all of the related pages and topics right from the first landing. I'm also doing some heavy browsing of the creepypasta catalog right now, and there's so much more than I anticipated here. I'll admit, when it comes to creepypasta, I can be better informed on what's out there and in what medium. This makes my research a whole lot easier. If you haven't signed up yet, come join us on the app. It's free to download and available for iPhone and Android. I've included the links to the iOS and Google Play stores in the video description below. Search for me on the app at Nightmind0 after selecting the Users tab and follow along. I've been enjoying leaving teasers for viewers and early video upload alerts, and I'm having a bit too much fun with it to stop anytime soon. I'd like to thank MrKravin here on YouTube for the use of clips from his Layers of Fear playthrough, and give a big thanks to Skylar, otherwise known as Underworld Guardian here on YouTube, who composed the first piece of original music for the Nightmind channel in the opening of Dark Arkade. You can check out her channel in the video description below, where many more original scores of hers can be found. Be sure to check out MrKravin's channel for playthroughs of more horror games as well. He's pulled out some titles I wasn't even aware of and just might cover in the future. Remember to drop a suggestion for me in the discussion topic on Horror Amino, and vote in the poll for what you want to see as the next title for study in the Dark Arkade. Thanks for joining me in the dark again this evening. Once more, I'm Nick Nocturne, and like an artist with broken record syndrome, I'll be back again real soon. Sleep tight.